Flowers are attractive and beautiful. They are the sites of fertilization. These beautiful structures are wonders that they help in continuity of the plant life through seeds. Hi, hello everyone. Today Science Made Easy is again back with an interesting topic on flowers and reproduction in flowers. This video is about flower structure and sexual reproduction in angiosperms. Structure of a flower. Basically, a flower consists of four main parts which are also called as whorls. They are calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Calyx. Calyx is the outermost part of the flower which is present in the first whorl of the flower. It is made up of green leafy structures which are called as sepals. In this image, you can see these are sepals. Together they make calyx of the flower. The second part is corolla. It is present in second whorl of the flower. It is made up of colored and attractive structures which are called as petals. In this image, these are individual petals of a flower which together form corolla of the flower. Perianth. Calyx and corolla together are called as perianth. In this image, these are petals, that is, they make corolla of the flower. These are sepals, they make calyx of the flower. Together, they are called as perianth of the flower. Androecium is the third main part which is present in third whorl of the flower. It is considered as the male part of the flower. Group of stamens together form androecium of the flower. These stamens each are made up of filament and anther. In this image, this is the anther of the stamen, this is filament of the stamen. Gynoecium is the fourth part of the flower which is present in the fourth whorl of the flower. It is the female part of the flower. It is made up of one or more carpels. These carpels sometimes called as pistil. This is image of a flower. This is the gynoecium of the flower. Gynoecium is made up of three parts. Ovary, which is the basal portion. Style, which is the slender stalk of the gynoecium. Stigma, which is present at the tip of the gynoecium. This image shows the parts of the gynoecium. This is the ovary wall, this is ovule, this is stigma, and this is style. This is all about different parts of a flower. Now let us see the classification of flowers. Types of flowers. The first classification is based on whether all the four whorls of a flower are present or not. A complete flower has all the four whorls of a flower, that is, it has calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. An incomplete flower may lack one or more whorls of a flower. The second classification is based on whether the androecium and gynoecium are present in the same flower or in different flowers. It is divided into two types. The first type is in unisexual flower, the androecium and gynoecium are present in different flowers. It is of two types. The staminate flowers has only androecium in them. This is the staminate flower. The carpellate flower, which is also called as pistillate flower, it has only gynoecium in it. This is the pistillate flower. And the second type is bisexual flower. In bisexual flowers, both androecium and gynoecium are present in same flowers. This is a bisexual flower. It has both gynoecium and androecium. This is the gynoecium. This is the androecium. And the third classification is based on whether the androecium and gynoecium are present in the same plant or in different plants. The first type is monoecious. A monoecious condition is in which both androecium and gynoecium are present in same plant. It is of two types. Both androecium and gynoecium are present in the same inflorescence is the first type, and both androecium and gynoecium may be present in different inflorescence. This condition is generally seen in plants like maize. And the second type is dioecious. Dioecious is a condition where the androecium and gynoecium are present in different plants. In this picture, you can see this is the dioecious condition. This plant has only gynoecium. This is monoecious condition. It has both. This is gynoecium and this is androecium. This is a maize plant. Tassel is the male flower and silk is the female flower. They are present in the same plant but on different inflorescences. This is the first part of the video about the structure of the flower and types of flowers. Now let us move further into the topic and learn about sexual reproduction in angiosperms. Flowers are responsible for sexual reproduction in plants. It involves the fusion of male and female gametes. This fusion results in the development of a zygote, which is a diploid cell. This zygote undergoes a series of divisions and stages to form an embryo. This embryo in the later stages will develop into new plant. This is the process of reproduction. In the further video, we are going to learn this process in detail. Reproduction takes place in two steps. The first step is pollination and the second step is fertilization. Pollination. Pollination is defined as transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma. This is a pollen being transferred from anther to the stigma. Pollination is of two types, self-pollination and cross-pollination. In self-pollination, the pollen grains are transferred from anther to the stigma of the same flower or another flower of the same plant. If you see the image, the pollens are transferred from anther to the stigma of the same flower. In this image, the pollens will be transferred from anther of one flower to stigma of another flower, but these two flowers belong to the same plant. Cross-pollination. Cross-pollination is a process in which the pollen grains from anther of one flower are transferred to the stigma of another flower of another similar plant. In this process, two plants are involved. If you see the image, this is one flower of plant A and this is other flower of plant B. Here pollens are transferred from plant A to plant B. The plants A and B are similar plants. The transfer of pollen grains is sometimes aided by some agents. These agents are called as pollinators. Pollinators are of two types. The first type is abiotic agents. Abiotic agents include anemophily. Pollination by wind is called as anemophily. Hydrophily. Pollination by water is called as hydrophily. The second agent is biotic agents. They include entomophily. Pollination by insects is called as entomophily. Ornithophily. Pollination by birds is called as ornithophily. Chiropterophily. Pollination by bats is called as chiropterophily. Malacophily. Pollination by snails and slugs is called as malacophily. The second step of reproduction is fertilization. Fertilization is the fusion of male gamete and female gamete. Fertilization in plants is often called as double fertilization because it involves two fertilizations. Process of fertilization. As soon as the pollen grain reaches the stigma, it germinates. It germinates and produces a pollen tube. This is the pollen grain. It has germinated and produced a pollen tube. This is the pollen tube. The pollen tube grows through the stylar tissues and enters the ovule through the micropyle end. This is the pollen tube growth through the stylar tissues. It has entered the ovule through the micropyle end. This is the micropyle end. After entering into the ovule, it releases the two male gametes into the embryo sac. This image shows the release of two sperm cells of the pollen tube. The first male gamete fuses with the egg cell and the second male gamete fuses with the central cell. If you see the image, this is the micropyle end. It has synergids and egg cell. The first male gamete fuses with the egg cell and this is the central cell. It has polar nuclei. The second male gamete fuses with this central cell. Its nuclei fuses with the polar nuclei. The first male gamete, which has fused with the egg cell, produces a zygote which is diploid, and the second male gamete, which has fused with the central cell, produces the primary endosperm which is triploid. This fusion is called as triple fusion. If you see the image, this is the primary endosperm cell and this is the zygote. After the fertilization, the synergids degenerate and the antipodals degenerate. Primary endosperm cell. This is the result of second fertilization. It is formed when the second male gamete, which is haploid, fuses with the central cell, which is diploid, and produces the primary endosperm cell, which is triploid in condition. It has primary endosperm nucleus, which is triploid. In the later stages of development, the primary endosperm cell develops into endosperm. In this image, this is the primary endosperm nucleus and this is the primary endosperm cell. It helps in nourishment of the embryo. Final structures formed after fertilization. The fertilized ovule develops into seed, which later develops into new plant, and the ovary develops into fruit. Here we are done with the topic. Hope you have understood the process. Thank you for watching the video and please keep supporting Science Made Easy.